What's up and welcome to Idle Insights, a show where each week I, Treavor Bettis, talk to interesting people about idle champions and Dungeons and Dragons. And with me this week is returning guest Brian Gray. I can say words, I swear.
We say words for a living, and yet it's still difficult to say words.
I also
it's fine.
write words for a living, and I can't even do that well, as we know before this.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know either. Nope. There was no tweet that ever happened. Hey, Brian, how's it going?
It's going great.
If there are folks in the chat who don't know who are you for those fine folks who may not know?
I am Brian, aka Urban Bohemian, pretty much everywhere on the internet. I am a content creator, also a creator of contentment, I hope. TTRPG player, writer, foodie, blogger, photo taker, eater, dancer, streamer. This is probably a lot. I'm like a quintuple. Well, how many? What do you say if there's like 9 things?
I don't know. I only know quints because of that Disney Channel movie.
Neptuple. Anyway,
yeah.
I do a lot. It's why we just say content creator, because it covers everything.
Lord in the chat, freelancer. That's really good. Once you get up to 9, it's just freelancer.
That's it. Yeah.
Well, Brian, I've started to do this thing where I've got more than one icebreaker question for returning guests, and so I want to start things off today with, who is your first D&D character?
Let's see here. I don't remember my very first. I'm going back all the way back through every like D&D version, like the D&D game on the Intellivision, and then like Texas Instruments had a computer one, and then I don't remember the one that I first rolled up when I sat down with friends in the 80s, so I have no idea. I will say that the one I created most like after everything was oh my gosh, I really had fun with this name. Fauntleroy Lacroix, but everyone called it LaCroix because, you know. And we were playing Cypher of Tyr. Tanya DePass was doing a charity game of her adventure in Avernus, and I created a cleric for that game. And I was fairly new coming back to everything. I was like, I'm not 100% sure I know what I'm doing. And then I made a cleric, which I really didn't understand how to play. But thankfully, no one needed it, so I just got to sit there and enjoy everybody else doing stuff. It was great.
What was their first name?
Fauntleroy.
Fauntleroy. I like that name. That's a fun name to say. That is a weird thing for me with D&D characters. I'm just like, I'm at least going to make a character whose name is fun to say.
Right. And then you end up making one that's a little too long, so then you have to give them a nickname, or you let the party give them a nickname, which always turns out great.
The longest name I've given a character, luckily, was just the last name. The full name was Alorith Dunmaridon. And so, like, you could just call me Alorith or Al, I guess. Don't call me Al. I'm just like, no, now I get Will Wheaton on a fundamental level right now. Do not call Alorith Al.
Fair.
But yeah. So we're here today to talk about disco. Actually, the funny thing is we're here again to talk about disco, because I believe that was what you and I were talking about last time.
Yes.
So as a refresher for folks, who is disco?
Disco is a familiar, first created as a baby moonstone dragon, and now in the form of a fractal mascot. And disco is just this like lovable, kind of fun loving, loves a party, loves music, loves a good time, loves to make people happy. My like headcanon is that disco doesn't actually see their summoner very much unless their summoner needs them for something. And disco's form changes because the summoner is deciding to do something different. So, you know, a fractal mascot because their summoner decided that they wanted to go to Strixhaven, even though they were probably far too old to go to Strixhaven, and it's more of a John Hughes college movie for them now. But so disco has changed their form, and I'm not going to say that because I may save it for something for the next 2 episodes. But.
Ooh. And yeah, disco is in Familiar Quest Series 3. How did you go about translating the familiar into this character you're playing on the stream?
That's a really, really great question. I think about the fact that when I first played, it was I didn't actually even play Disco in the one shot that we did for
Hmm.
Disco's being introduced as familiar. I played Sylvester, who actually, yeah, Sylvester's real name is like a long name, so I now get that. But I played it for a familiar harmony when Amani was introduced, and we were in the pre-call, and I said, I have no idea what Disco sounds like. I have no clue. And per usual, like you open your mouth, and that's exactly who they are. So Disco came out with a Southern accent that I grew up in Georgia. I don't even have it anymore, but came out with a nice Georgia Southern accent and is just a delight. Like I play Disco as this innocent, friendly being that doesn't understand why people would be mean, but if it's time to square up, then they will. And usually, I feel bad for anyone who's come across our familiars in Series 3 because we have trounced everyone.
Oh, really?
I made a note, like the number of intimidation checks we have made is actually quite frightening for the fact that we are all lovely little familiars. And Henyo is like, roll an intimidation check. And we're like, oh, all right. Like,
I mean, let's be fair. In the game, they're in front of the party for a reason. They're the
yes.
ones you don't mess with.
Yeah. But it was fun because I don't currently play a lot of like characters. So just to have this idea of, yeah, like I'm just playing something cute and precious and sweet that, will throw hands actually Disco in this form doesn't have hands, which has
Oh
been
yeah.
fun to remember while role playing that like there's no hand making, nothing. Like it's just no, it's just okay.
They throw
Um
fractals.
they a lot of fractals, yes.
Well, so what made you want to do the fractal form for this one? Was there something about that type of creature that you liked?
Shiny.
Oh, I should have known. I didn't even think
Like
about
it's
that.
shiny.
You made him
Um
literal. Oh my gosh.
yes, I in a I'm trying to remember which season it was. I believe 13 or 14 season of Rivals of Waterdeep. Sharif had us go to Strixhaven and had fractals not invading, but we have a dragon at Troll Skull. Fractals thought that this dragon was the reincarnation of Tanzir. And we had a bunch of fractals all over Troll Skull Manor. And I was like, oh, and I finally looked up what fractals look like, and I'm like, oh, the fractal mascot is so cute and
It's
shiny
adorable.
and crystalline. And I'm like, great, I'm gonna play that because it's so cute. And I purposely didn't do math jokes because Eugenio Vargas, DM Jazzy Hands, loves math, and I said I
He
refuse.
does.
I'm going to hint around math, but I'm never actually going to make a math joke. But I do lean into the fact that fractal mascots aren't really creatures so much as they're
Mhm.
sort of solidified, composed of like crystallized thought and form
Yeah.
and equations. So I do play a little bit with that, but I do not off the fly know enough math improv jokes to like roll with it like that.
You made me realize during that when they released Strixhaven, they really missed out on just doing a line of plushies for all the things that came with the different like houses and stuff.
Absolutely.
Like
Teach them math. Yes.
I got the Strixhaven stuff like late when after the Magic set came out, and I got a commander deck. And I was playing with my friends, and I was just playing it blind. And I'm like, all right, I get to summon an inkling. What the heck's an? Oh my god, it's the cutest thing I've ever
So
seen. And then
cute.
I get to summon a fract. What's a fract? Oh my god! And then my friend puts out pests. And I'm like, this is the best thing ever.
Absolutely.
So what class is Disco?
In this, Disco is a multi-class, which is the first time I've multi-classed a character,
Oh.
a sorcerer bard,
Oh.
because we have Scotty playing a rogue, Misty is a monk, Squiddle is a sorcerer, and I usually play sorcerers or bards, and this time I just decided to go right down the middle,
Hmm.
and it's a lot of fun. It's overwhelming. I have so many things I can do, and I forget to do them most of the time. So that's
I
me with a
know
lot of
that.
characters.
I know that way of playing very well.
Hmm.
So how is that going in the game with source? Like, oh, actually, good. Here's a good question. When you did play Disco in that one shot, were they also a sorcerer then?
No, at that point, well, actually, I would have to go back and
Ah.
look because I believe I didn't. No, I think I was a bard. I need to because usually I will change it in my head. Like Disco is a bard, but
Hmm.
mercurial and changing. But I trying to remember if I changed it because usually I don't put like a bard with somebody else if they want to play a bard because then you have everybody wants to do their cool bard stuff and you don't want to like step on each other's toes as performers would not want to do. Um, but I'm pretty sure that Disco has been a bard or a sorcerer. Those are the two classes that I usually lean towards when I play.
Okay. My home game at one point I had three bards of varying levels. I had like one just only bard, and then paladin, sorcerer, warlock, bard, and then another
What?
multi-class. My favorite thing was, when you get in a role with your group, like especially when someone's a bard, it's like you get bardic inspiration. You're like, awesome, I get a D12, but it was like, okay, which die do I get from you? Because it
Right.
was all completely different.
Yep.
I love bards for that. Um, so tell me about series three. How has series three been going? But I will say I think spoilers is fine for right now. If you haven't watched the show, you can come back to this later. But I'd love to talk about what's been going on.
I'm having a great time. I was not really sure what to expect. It is usually Eugenio and I are on the same side of the DM screen, so I was really excited to see what he would put together for us. And it's really been like a big road trip. We have found ourselves in a different location almost every episode. We started out with Scotty. Kelly, the Opera
Hmm.
Geek, rolled up Scotty now as a blink dog. So we started out with Scotty essentially with souped up teleportation powers to gather everyone together. And the point of the series three is that we are on a quest for Pest. So we are trying to find Pest, and we've just been going location to location. We've beaten up a lot of things in red robes.
Oh,
Some of them had tentacles. Some of them were undead. Some of them were just probably not interns, but they were like entry level. It's fine. Um, we have been on a ship. Let's see. We made friends with a ship crew. Misty, as a will-o-wisp, got to lead some people kind of to their deaths. So she's doing
oh,
her
okay.
job. Yeah,
Yeah,
like a little bit.
kind of right in. Yeah. Yeah.
And we made friends. We made friends with this like ship crew. We taught a captain the importance of taking time out and naps. We've moved on to Delfuntal and the Yearwood, which I always say wrong. Then Johnny Stanton came and played his familiar Twiggy, which was
Hmm.
a lot of fun, and we had a lovely like episode for that. And we've been peppering it with spa days though. Like every chance our familiars get, we're like, yeah, but when we just like take a break, like just a little bit of a break.
Need that self care.
Yeah, and now most recently we were in the Feywild, and we had a little trip through a certain carnival that people might know that's connected to the Feywild, and that was when Gabe Hicks came on and joined us as Marvel, and we have now moved on from there to I now I'm not going to say anything because y'all need to get caught up, like you just
Okay.
do,
Okay.
okay?
Okay.
But it's finally that moment when you're waiting for that axe to drop and you know that the DM has been planning something fun and sinister like we were cute times, familiars, and here's the sinister thing. That's what we just encountered now. And I was laughing because talking about like naming your characters and all this, because it's been a bit of a road trip, we've had to introduce our characters over and over again to people, which is something that I'm not used to doing in D&D at all. Like having to basically find out someone's name and tell them your name every time you sit down and play is weird. I don't like, can we get name tags for something? Because like, every single time somebody's playing an NPC or we have a guest and they're like, yeah, and who are you? And I'm just like, oh, right. You have no idea who we are. Like,
I would love, like, I don't know if we have familiar skins. I think we do, but I now need one for each of you that's just the same look, but you all have a like a red name badge on.
Oh my goodness, I would love that. I could actually, we could just do a whole bunch of meet and greet skins for all the champions and familiars. That just like that's it's just the skin, but it's like a hi, my name is like.
I love that idea. I also love Lurking Writer in the chat that said, so Familiar Quest Series 3 is Sliders, and you know what? You get massive points for the day for referencing one of my favorite shows from the 90s.
You didn't say it right.
Sliders.
There it is. Yeah, you gotta say it right.
Brian, this is why you and I are friends.
Oh my goodness. Speaking of shows about dimension hopping or body hopping that I will always be upset about the ending of, Quantum Leap and Sliders. Just
folks, we're now changing the topic of this episode. That's we're done with talking about that. This is a Sliders and Quantum Leap podcast.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Still not over it. Still not over it.
Me neither. I literally watched the ending of Quantum Leap like late last year. Okay, well, so tell me about the party dynamic. How are the familiars this season meshing?
Really well. We are all like Disco essentially likes pretty much everyone as long as they're not mean. Scotty is extraordinarily trustworthy and so again tends to like basically think everyone's his friend. Squiddle hadn't met anyone, I think, before meeting us because we found Squiddle in the far realm. So they're also very friendly. And Misty is an evil will-o'-the-wisp who was living in a swamp. And I suspect that we are very slowly like rubbing off on Misty. But the dynamic is great. Like just the four of us, there's the fun parties that you improv with and you're like, oh, this is too far. This is not far enough. We are all very yes and there's just everyone knows the right moment to jump in and do something goofy and that everyone else is going to give them room for. But so far, yeah, our interplay has been the most fun because we're still learning about each other. And in the most recent episode, we all got a revelation about ourselves, which is a little bit like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, like we've had a great time and we're like, well, we're on this mission and we just keep moving forward, which like I said, like this is the most transition I've had from session to session in any like character I've ever played where we're constantly somewhere new. And I don't know. I honestly, it's Alicia's Misty that probably takes me out every episode. Like I have to mute the microphone and just start cracking up because she is so on it.
Someone brought up the we did a YouTube short of the Misty being creepy part.
That is exactly the dynamic. That's exactly how it is. She just turned and looked to her camera and we're all like, I can't hold it together. Nope, I can't do it. I can't do it.
Oh, I love it.
And Megan has the most adorable, like her take on Squiddle is just this adorable chibi elder godling, and she does the perfect, like not quite baby but cute voice. And Kelly just loves to lean into playing Scotty as a ditz. And
that's so appropriate.
And I have to admit, Disco is probably a lot more like sassy shady in this than they were in the previous adventure. But absolutely, yeah, it's so fun.
Love it. Also, hi Cypher of Tier in the chat.
Hey,
how you doing? And you mentioned the two other guests. You had Johnny Stanton as Twiggy and Gabe Hicks as Marvel. How were those interactions besides having to introduce yourself so many times?
Yeah, it was very exhausting to have to introduce ourselves like a lot. Johnny as Twiggy was like, you don't always know when you're gonna have to like jump right in, and Johnny was just ready. He had the moment. He's like, yeah, this is where I'm gonna say my thing, and was very invested in moving us along, which is fantastic. And his character was like kind of gruff, and again, somebody who didn't want to be our friend,
Hmm.
As a matter of fact, his name is Twiggy, but Twiggeth to friends, and we were all determined that by the end of the adventure, we were going to be allowed to call him Twiggeth, which we were, but very gruff. And Twiggy is also a rogue that Johnny rolled up. So Scotty and Twiggy got to do some really cool stuff. Like they were just having like a rogue off, but like a friendly competitive rogue off. It was really great. And Marvel is chaos incarnate. Like,
I feel like that also goes for their player.
oh yeah, yeah. I won't say like you don't say somebody is their character, but if I've ever seen Gabe play any character that is as close to Gabe as I know, it's Marvel the Imp. Um, like I wasn't sure what was going on because as when you sit in with somebody and you have the DM who's essentially telling them, okay, here's essentially what your information is that they don't know. So I knew that Marvel knew stuff that the rest of us didn't. I knew that Marvel had a purpose, and my mystery solving brain was going at the same time that I'm just trying to play the game. And Marvel was just a delightful, like, I'm gonna tell you stuff, but then everyone thinks that everything I say is a lie. So then maybe I'm lying, maybe I'm not, and maybe I'm just mean, and maybe I'm not, and I don't want friends. And it was so great. And then when we got to the end of the previous episode, the end of Monday's episode, again, not going to say anything, but it was like just the record scratch. It was so much fun. So fun. And we got like food, we got to basically have scenes with food, which is my favorite. I Marvel ordered polymorph popcorn, which I was unclear as to whether the popcorn made you like cast polymorph on you, or if the popcorn itself polymorphed while you ate it. I wasn't sure which one. It was the former. So Marvel also kept changing form as we were going through things. It was great.
I'm now thinking of like polymorph popcorn, but like it polymorphs into other snacks. Like you throw one in there, you got an animal cracker.
Oh, I would like to know more of these Omni snacks. Yes.
Omni stacks. That's a good name for it. How has it been having Genio as the DM?
I love watching him spin a story, whether I get to be at the table or whether I get to see him do it for other people, like watching his podcast, The Last Refuge. It is so fun. I don't know. There are storytellers, game masters, dungeon masters, however you want to say, who are just able to encompass volumes in their head and also pivot on the fly to be able to like arrange them to whatever you're doing. And we have thrown him some absolute curveballs, which he has hit right back at us. And we're like, oh, we did this to ourselves. Okay.
Oh no, the consequences of my own actions.
Exactly. So it really is a joy and a delight. Like, and I always say that just as the players, the DM is also a player at the table. And it is nice to see him also just delighted with the choices that we make, but also he will get in like his fun character moment, his fun NPC moments, and we do torture his NPCs a lot. It's true. And
seems
he's able
to be a lot of
pivot
intimidation
with it.
checks. So
yeah, but he's able to go with it, and like you never want to ask what was supposed to happen during that session, but you can kind of tell that we went off script early on, and he just is like, nope, we're good.
I'm in the opposite boat of that, where I'm like, it's always hard for me as a DM to not say what was supposed to happen after the thing, and I'm always just like, nope, save it. You might use it down the line.
Exactly. Yeah, don't tell anyone. It's fine. There's a meme. I know there's a meme about that. Like, the thing that my party completely goes around, and you're just like, I'm just gonna pick this up and put it down over here.
I have done that so many times. They've missed so many things until eventually I'm just like, there's one door. That's
no
the
choices.
Door. And they're
This
just
is
like,
it.
I blow a hole through the roof, and I'm like,
yeah.
Is this the first time you've had Ohania as your DM? Because I know the two of you DM together.
It is not. We did play at PAX Unplugged. We played a session, a one shot for Into the Motherlands, and
Oh,
he was the
okay.
storyteller for that.
That's right.
And it was my first time playing the system. And again, it was just a delightful the way that he it's such a collaborative Into the Motherlands is such a collaborative system that, you know, the players are sort of also weaving the story together along with
Hmm.
the storyteller. And it was really, really fun. I think that was my first time that we had not been sitting together as players or as co-DMs. And it's one of those things where it's like you watch your friend doing something awesome and you're just like, I have to play too. I have to like gotta focus on this. It was really great. And every week has been a delight because knowing we tend to like we joke that we share a brain. So I love the way that he comes up with stuff and does stuff, and I have turned off my part of our like hive mind so that I don't do any guessing. I don't do any like, oh, I think this is, I know where this is going. Like, no. No, 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 no. And yeah, it's so fun. I think one of the favorite things so far is we were going through Twiggy lives in like the year I keep wanting to say yearbook, but no, the yearwood. And there were these red robed folks coming in, starting trouble, lighting fires, which was bad. We stopped them. And there were two like regal ones, and one that was essentially their pack, like the guy holding all their stuff. And we let that guy go while we handled the two like higher ups. And then we ended up finding the guy who crawled away and essentially interrogating slash intimidating him into telling us his plan. And he said, well, they'll kill me if I just tell you, so I can't tell you. But what if I were to just go write in my journal that I keep every day and talk out loud while I do it? And we are just dying and cracking up, and I'm like, this is so brilliant, it's so good. And he maintained this German accent because the character's name was Hans. He
Oh my
maintained this
god.
perfect German accent, which now Thayen is German, so it's not
Oh,
Thayen,
okay.
it is Sayen.
Saying.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
is Thayen. So that's, you know, if we all start speaking Thayen with a German accent, it's because we learned it from Hans.
I love that. I now need to go. I now need to go listen to that accent because I loved B Daves on Black Dice Society. Anytime they went to Felkovnia,
Oh,
it's my favorite thing in TTRPGs. Um,
oh, I need to like I ask people because I think some people they have their headcanon of what various like, you know, what different Elven and this like, oh
oh
well
yeah, 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 yeah.
elves are French and these people speak Spanish and this, and I'm just like I love to know what everyone's like version of that is and how they kind of put their own spin on languages and games, because normally I don't pay too much attention to languages. I'm like, we all speak the same one this time, right? I hope. If
The
not, it's going to be really awkward.
the only weird one that I decided in my head was that gnomes were Boston, and I don't know why. But gnomes in my games have Boston accents, and I just love it.
Okay. All right.
You know, I don't tell players I'm like, if you don't want to do it, you don't want to do it. But if you find a gnome in NPC, probably gonna sound like they have a Boston accent.
Yeah, I think the only thing we've no, the one thing I did was like on the fly, and of course this is when we were co-DMing Rivals, is we were in the Frostfell, and we were where Gosrick's character comes from, Lednick Caldera, and I decided that two city guards would basically sound like characters from Fargo, and
Okay.
it it probably wasn't my best, but then Eugenio rolled with it, and it was just like, yeah, I did this to myself. I gotta remember now. If we go back to these guards, this is how they talk here. This is how everyone speaks here. Great.
Oh boy. Oh, okay. As a heads up, chat, we're gonna do the giveaway here in just a little bit. And I would have known that sooner if I had been looking at the question doc, which I wasn't. Sorry about that, Gabe. So yeah, keep it. I
Wow.
know. I'm sorry. So yeah, be sure to keep an eye. I will give a call out once it pops up in chat. And you can enter for a chance to win 42 chests of your choice, excluding Bahamut chests. So good luck on that.
Ooh, nice.
Um, but let's talk about Rivals for a little bit. How is Rivals of Waterdeep been going?
It has been going really well. We are currently on the show's final season. and we've extended our normal from 10 to 12 episodes, and for the latter half of the season we've been going every other Sunday. And I will say I give it to Masood Haq because we weren't really sure how we wanted to finish these characters' stories and what we wanted to do. And I say he doesn't get as much credit as he should for like his TTRPG like brain and plans, because he just had this brilliant idea that there was a moment that happened in episode 6 that was sort of a flashpoint. And after that, we would kind of refer to that as like sort of like the 0 point, and we would go and reach out to various characters' stories 2 days after, 2 months after, years on after that. And we were sort of assembling these vignettes that allowed us to have snapshots of our stories' lives backwards and forwards in time as we are kind of barreling towards telling the ends of these characters' stories. So it allows all the players to really have a satisfying ending, or at least maybe not satisfying. Maybe, you know, they die with hands clutched as a demon as they go into the yawning portal. I don't know. Either way, but it kind of lets us end the things on our own terms. And it's been really weirdly emotional every time we're like, this is, you know, we've got one more episode, 2 more episodes. I don't know. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun. And our characters, I mean, we're 20th level characters, which a lot of us haven't truly reckoned with. Oh my god, I'm the giveaway.
Yes, I was about to say we're doing the giveaway right now.
I was like, why am I seeing my name so much in chat?
Put in Brian Gray, all one word, all lowercase, for a chance to win.
No, my name is in lights. It finally happened. Wow, perfect.
Oh, it's so good.
That's brilliant. So yeah, it's going really well, and we, you know, sadly have 3 more episodes to go, and that's it. It is.
It's the feels time.
It doesn't hit me until I say it out loud, and then I'm like, oh right.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is, you know, again, Eugenio just his podcast, the Last Refuge, just finished theirs after, I can't remember how many episodes. It was like 100, and it was like more than 150. I cannot remember. But
yeah, no, it was some big number like that.
Yeah, it was a big number.
Yeah.
And they filmed their entire last season like together in person in a studio, and then they were in chat after every episode to talk about it. So we sort of have a bit of a clue as to how we're going to feel seeing and doing our last episode, because essentially we're going to be emotionally annihilated.
Yeah.
And
I bet.
Just, you know, buckle up, because it's gonna be,
bring the tissues,
it's gonna be rough.
Get a warm blanket, like
yeah.
Oh
yeah.
boy. And you all have gone to every other week schedule for this, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So we'll be playing this Sunday, and then the 14 days from then, which is another math thing, and then 14 days from that, which is another math thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, that is wild though. That like it's so weird to like hear it's ending, because like on one hand I'm just like, oh, it feels like Rivals just started, and then I think about it, I'm just like, Rivals has been around for, y'all have been around for a while. And
yeah, five or six, I believe 5 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that sounds about right. That's wild.
You know, it's I'm sure like there's gonna be hugging and hand holding and crying and things like that. And it is just wild to think that 15 seasons, it would have, well, we had special episodes as well, but it would have been 150, but then we added 2. So now, okay, well now it's going to be a weird number, but
so you're doing the number thing again. You're doing maths.
Anyway, it's just, I don't know, like what the show has meant to me in terms of being able to reconnect with a hobby and be able to have fun and be able to hang out with friends every Sunday, and now every other Sunday. It really has been very special. And I think anyone who's on a stream or an actual play or works on something that people watch, you don't really think about it as much, but it's been crystallized when we've done shows at PAX Unplugged and people have talked to us, and talked about what the show means to them, and that's when I get weirdly emotional, and I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna cry because this is too much. I cannot. So yeah, they're gonna be tears.
Mm.
Absolutely gonna be tears.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just I like I joke that I'm not really looking forward to it ending, but I joke that I do because then I get my Sundays back and I can go to brunch.
Ooh, okay. That's a pretty good point.
It's been tough because before I was on the show, generally I was watching and listening to it like in one ear while I was at brunch. So there it is.
I love it.
But yeah, I don't know. It's been a fantastic ride, and I'm so glad that Tanya asked me to be a part of it. I'm so glad that I joined it with Genio because just finding people in this space that are fun and creative and friendly and you vibe with and you want to do other things with has been just amazing for me. Especially during the past few years when this was my outlet for
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah. The I like this the lurking writer in chat says what you've done together has mattered. And I
No,
like
don't.
that.
Nope, stop it. I'm gonna cry. Can't do it. No, quit it.
Oh yeah, it's okay. So there's just a little pepper thrown thrown to the air.
Fine,
That's
it's
all. That's all. It's
fine.
fine. It's fine. Let's talk about your Cyberpunk Red podcast. Tell me
Oh
about
my
that.
gosh, yeah. Sorry, I got more emotional about that. I have been recently Cyberpunk Independence is the name of the podcast, and it's been going for a little while. I just joined just last season, and it's my first time playing Cyberpunk Red, so it is a learning podcast. So I have definitely been learning and picking it up. It's a crunchier system than I'm used to, so I've been doing my best to kind of assimilate that knowledge. I used to be the kind of person that could sit down with a TTRPG book, or honestly, y'all remember video game manuals. We would take the manuals to school and we would absorb them. I used to be the kind of person that could just be like, I have assimilated all this knowledge, and now it takes me a little bit longer to like pick things up. And I'm having fun learning as I go. Changing settings has been weird because I go from playing D&D fantasy to a cyberpunk dystopian future, and sadly still can't get away from capitalism ruling everything, which I'm like, but I get to burn it down now, so this is so cool. But yeah, my character on that is DeRoss, who is a netrunner and is joining the regular going cast that kind of call themselves like the pizza punks. And as my character is a bit older, is sort of been there, done there, seen it, but DeRoss is friends with Slicks, who is also sort of a mentor of the Pizza Punks, and Slicks said, I need you to take care of my friends. So DeRoss is essentially trying to keep them alive. Although he's a netrunner, he's not exactly built for, combat or anything like that, but it does mean that I've learned net running, which is a whole, like, if you thought, well, this is crunchy, why don't I learn net running? That's even crunchier. That's great. But you got to, like, I don't know, like getting to be a hacker. And, we all wanted to be like Neo in the Matrix, or probably not. Actually, we probably all wanted to be Johnny Mnemonic, which was probably, I am aging myself terribly with these references, but it's okay.
No, I love it. I love it. I'm
And
here for it.
And it is fun. It's Cyberpunk Independence on most podcast places, and then we record audio, but we also record video, and it goes up on Fort Nerd on Twitch, so twitch.tv/FortNerd. And yeah, it's been a delight. I've, gotten another bunch of folks that I get to hang out with on a regular basis. Again, we did like an in-person thing at PAX Unplugged, and we went over and talked to our Talasaurian games, and we're at the booth and talked to them. It was a lot of fun. It's nice to have a different thing to play, and it's made me want to find other systems to, whether it's a one shot, whether it's like a short number of episodes, because sadly my calendar is a nightmare, but I love looking at new games and someone's like, do you want to play a one shot of this? Yes, absolutely. I do. Just teach me how to play.
I love it. Okay, let's go to one of the questions that we got here. We're actually gonna go to the Lurking Writers question that says, question, Hunger of the Far Realm saw you and Eugenio playing with people you hadn't before, and the group's chemistry was off the charts. How much fun was it having with the experience of that and now Familiar Quest?
It really is. I don't know. It's very much a professional performer thing, because you don't know. You really don't know, like, I tend to be the person on the ensemble who I stay in the background and play like the helper characters, or I help try to contribute to things. And it was really fun that we all were able to jump in with our full personalities. And Hunger of the Far Realm was amazing.
Mhm.
Um,
Hey folks, sorry about that. Cats get into places they shouldn't at the interesting times. So Brian, you
oh,
were talking about Hunger of the Far Realm and Familiar Quest with
I should have
plain.
told you on the break. We should have faked like we were actually coming back and it was the top of the show again. But
God, that would have been good.
yes, so playing with people, basically bringing our characters from Rivals to play with like another cast. It really, I don't know. I agree with people who say like the Hunger of the Far Realm cast, we just clicked, and I
Yeah.
don't use that phrase. I haven't used that phrase since like the 90s, but we all just kind of came together and had a wonderful time. And it's now the same with a familiar quest. We had a little bit where we talk about our characters' personalities, and we obviously have gone over lines and veils ahead of time, so we know what not to do and what jokes not to tell. And yeah, it's really been nice to again have people who work together who were able to lean in on each other's jokes and who are able to have their characters be there for each other while we're all very supportive around the
Hmm.
table. And I think, I mean, obviously I've played with the cast members of Rivals of Waterdeep the most, so that is the dynamic I'm used to. And I was always nervous about, oh, I don't know any of these people. And I always get that why am I here feeling like, but yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and I'm learning more about when it comes to new groups how to kind of lean into it and not feel
Hmm.
like I have to sit on the outside and let everybody else have fun. So yeah.
Well, first off, you always belong. Let's be real. Uh, but no, I get that. Like watching y'all on Hunger of the Far Realm. What it reminded me of is like, that hope when you start off with the new group and you're like, oh, I can't wait till we're like level 10 and we're just in sync. And it was like watching that, but that happened session one.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of the magic thing that I see happen on streams occasionally is these folks who are playing these characters for so long, or just playing long on stream in general, getting together and just meshing like that. It is like watching magic. I love it.
No, I think it's really that what you say is the characters that we have brought to this. And I will always crow about the fact that I have one of my characters in one of my favorite video games, like period. But the fact is we knew these like we've played these characters, we knew them. So coming together was not like rolling up level ones and not knowing their personalities. And then it was just about, okay, do these personalities work well? And they do. I mean, even if they didn't, that would still be a
Mhm.
great dynamic for us to play through. But yeah, it was just there was everybody hit the ground running. I like Walnut and Virgil kind of paired off as being like the serious ones who were over everything. Um, Kent and I always want to say Evelyn, but I think it's Evelyn, or is it
Evelyn,
Evelyn?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's Evelyn. Kent and Evelyn because gorgeous and shiny things, and Strix just being a trash witch.
yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I
Yeah,
dig that. I
yeah.
absolutely dig it. So yeah, it was. I wasn't sure what to expect, and I was very nervous then because yeah, I'd only played with Eugenio before, and now with a familiar quest, like I had played with. Actually, that's not true. I had played with all of them at different things before.
Oh, okay.
Most recently, Megan and I we did a Golden Girls themed one shot. That was my first time
Yes.
solo DMing, which was I don't know why
That
I don't
was
know if I'm ready for that again.
what system was that in again?
It was playing
Oh,
5e,
it was fifth.
and
That's right. That's right.
yeah,
That's
we were
right.
playing
That's right.
fifth edition. They all came with these lovely old biddy characters, and I wrote up a homebrew one shot. So I'd finally play with Megan. So I have played with everyone at the table, and it was just nice to kind of like again, like you don't always get to play games with your friends and do stuff with them because usually we're just hanging out on social media. So it's
Hmm.
always fun to be able to do that and have a structured time to do it versus everybody saying, "Hey, we should do a thing," and it never materializes.
Yeah. That those are mini.
Yeah.
It's always good to hope, though.
Mhm.
Well, we're hitting towards the end of the our time here because we got developer insights coming up after this.
Okay.
But Brian, thank you so much for taking the time and talking with me today. This was an absolute blast, as
So it's
always.
fun. Yes, this is the third time I've been back now. I don't know. Next time I want a trophy or a badge.
I will work on that. I will see what I can do. See if you can. I will tell you this: if you come back a fifth time, we will do a five timers club.
Okay, I will be ready for a five timers club. Yes.
Yes. All right, right. If people want to find you and what you do on the interwebs, where could they do so?
You can find me pretty much as Urban Bohemian everywhere. On TikTok, there's a little underscore, and urbanbohemian.com is my blog. But mostly you can see me on Twitch, twitch.tv/urbanbohemian. 3 days a week, I'm doing video games and sometimes cooking and sometimes chatting. You can also catch me on Rivals of Waterdeep, twitch.tv/Rivals of Waterdeep. And you can hear me on Cyberpunk Independence, wherever podcasts are potted. And you can see me on twitch.tv/FortNerd. Is that everything right now? Yeah. On my own channel, I'm doing watch parties and playing games and looking at demos and just enjoying, I did take last weekend off because I went out and had brunch both days in a row, which was like a blessing. But other than that, yeah, everywhere at Urban Bohemian is pretty much where you will find me.
Fantastic. We'll be sure to go watch Brian at all those places, as well as on Familiar Quest Series 3. 2 more episodes. We'll see what's going on there. But that was going to do it for this week's episode of Idle Insights. So until next week, take care of yourself.